I am a master of the demonic sect. I haven't killed anyone in 3,000 years. After seizing the original owner's body, in order to find an opportunity for Ascension, I traveled for 3 years. Unexpectedly, upon my return, I was falsely accused by a fake young master of stealing his top-grade spirit sword and severely injuring him. The entire Shao family condemned me, demanding that I kneel down and apologize, and even dig out my immortal bones to atone to the fake young master. A bloodthirsty smile rose at the corner of my mouth. Since that's the case, it seems today I must engage in a great slaughter. South Border Shao family, inside the main hall. Second sister sternly said, "Mother, the top-grade Azure Spirit Sword was indeed found in Shao Che's room, yet he still tries to deny it." At this time, everyone in the Shao family hall was present, except for the patriarch who was in seclusion. My fiancée held the fake young master in her arms with pity. She glared at me resentfully. "Madam Shao Che just returned and stole Xian's top-grade spirit sword, and even severely injured him. It's simply an unforgivable crime. I hope Madam Shao will uphold justice." First sister, who cultivates the path of ruthlessness, directly pronounced judgment. Shao Che robbed the spirit sword, maliciously injured someone. He must kneel down and apologize and dig out his immortal bones to atone to Xian. The madam, sitting in the main seat, frowned. That's how it should be. I looked around, seeing their gazes upon me growing more and more fervent, like bloodthirsty beasts staring at their prey. Very good. I haven't killed anyone in 3,000 years. Today it seems I must engage in a great slaughter. I am a master of the demonic sect, because I had created too much killing karma. At the time of my ascension, I was besieged by righteous cultivators and suppressed under 10,000 Demon Mountain for 3,000 years. Just as my last wisp of remnant soul was about to dissipate, I encountered a young man lost in 10,000 Demon Mountain, the original owner, Shao Che. To my surprise, this person possessed the heavenly Tao immortal bone, a perfect candidate to break the formation. I took advantage of his kindness. Guiding him step by step, I unsealed the damaged seal and seized his body, although I had killed countless people before. At that moment, a sense of guilt I had never felt before arose within me. Just as his soul was about to dissipate, I asked if he had any last wishes, and I would try my best to fulfill them. He said that his father's greatest wish was to revitalize the Shao family and become the overlord of the southern border. He hoped that I could help the Shao family. I agreed, and protected his soul, allowing him to re-enter reincarnation. Although I am a demonic cultivator, I value my word. So for these 18 years, I have fought and died for the Shao family, bringing back countless cultivation resources, helping the Shao family become a hegemon of one side. The heavenly Tao immortal bone, as expected, its cultivation speed is incredibly fast. 3 years ago, I had already returned to my peak, but there was no sign of ascension. Helplessly, I had to go out and travel the world, searching for an opportunity to become an immortal. Unexpectedly, 3 years later, when I returned to the Shao family, the Shao family had adopted an adopted son, Shao Xian. I was once the master of the demonic sect, so I naturally couldn't act in a way to please others. Therefore, for the past 18 years, my relationship with the Shao family had been lukewarm. But this Shao Xian was different. He had a sweet mouth, eloquent and persuasive. In just 3 years, he had won the extreme love of the Shao family, who treated him like a treasure. Even the original owner's fiance favored him greatly. On the first day, I returned to the Shao family. I was falsely accused by the fake young master of stealing his top-grade spirit sword, severely injuring him, and shattering his immortal bones. The fake young master, seeing that everyone deeply believed his words, hastily knelt on the ground. Large tears fell on the ground. "Mother, it's all my fault. I'm not worthy of owning the top-grade spirit sword. Don't blame my brother. He is your biological son. I'll leave the Shao family now." Shao Xian's crying. Heartbroken, these sisters and mother. Shao mother panicked and quickly ran down from the main seat, hugging him in her arms. Zian, anyone can leave this Shao family, except you. As long as I am in the Shao family for one day, I will not let anyone drive you out. Second sister Shao Luoyu also comforted him softly. Zian, you are good in every way, but you are too kind. That's why you are bullied by Shao Che. First sister Shao Luoxua also glared at me fiercely, wishing she could stab me to death with her sword. Shao mother turned her head to glare at me. You unfilial son, look what you've done. How can you be so vicious, taking such cruel measures, not only stealing the spirit sword, but even shattering Zian's immortal bones? If I had known, when I gave birth to you, I should have strangled you to death. With a clang sound, first sister Shao Luoxua drew her sword from its sheath, the blade gleaming with a cold light. She pointed her sword at my brow. Shao Che, things have come to this point. What do you have to say for yourself? Will you kneel down and dig out your immortal bones to atone to Zian, or do you want to force me to do it myself? I glanced at these dying people and smiled contemptuously. Oh, you say I stole his top-grade spirit sword and severely injured this Shao Zishuan. Do you have any other evidence? Everyone was stunned upon hearing this. Second sister Shao Luoyu was the first to react and refuted loudly. What other evidence is needed? Zian is so kind. He would never lie. Fiance Yilink Shuank Hurriedli Chiming. Exactly. The sword was found in your room. Zian's immortal bones are shattered. He suffered such serious injuries. Can he still use a honey trap to slander you? Although you are my fiancé, I will put my words here today. If you don't kneel down and apologize and dig out your immortal bones, I will never marry you. I wave my hand, summoning thousands of top-grade spirit swords from my storage ring. Among them are 2 holy swords. One is an ice holy sword. The other is a crimson flame holy sword. As soon as the 2 holy swords appeared, the spiritual energy between heaven and earth suddenly surged violently. They were like stars surrounding the moon, with thousands of spirit swords standing upright in the air. Everyone in the audience showed expressions of disbelief. They stared at the holy swords in the field, their eyes obsessed. The ice holy sword was crystal clear, surrounded by cold air, making people unconsciously want to retreat. It was as if just one more glance would freeze their souls. The crimson flame holy sword was the complete opposite. Flames blazed on the sword's body, the surrounding air slightly distorted by the high temperature, as if to incinerate everything. These were all from my 3,000-year-old stash. I sneered at them. The supreme-grade spiritual swords you see as treasures are no different from ordinary iron swords in my eyes. I have supreme-grade spiritual swords, even holy swords. Why would I even look at that broken sword of his? Everyone fell silent at that moment. Yes, I possessed so many supreme-grade spiritual swords. Why would I be interested in Zian's sword? It was as ridiculous as a millionaire trying to snatch a beggar's penny. Everyone's gaze turned suspiciously toward Shao Zian. Shao Zian was completely dumbfounded. He never expected that I would take out so many supreme-grade spiritual swords in one breath. Even the legendary holy swords were among them. A flash of greed quickly passed through his eyes. Shao Zian suddenly spat out a large mouthful of blood and cried out, "Mother, sister, everything I said is the truth. If there is even half a lie, may I be struck by lightning." I understand. So many treasured swords. Even the great Chu royal family couldn't take them out. How could brother possibly have them? He knelt on the ground and looked at me. Tears fell like broken beads. Brother, I didn't expect that after leaving home for 3 years, you would engage in such activities as murder and robbery, stealing people's swords. If you wanted my spiritual sword, you could have just told me. I am your younger brother. I would definitely give it to you. But why did you attack me, destroying my immortal bones? The second sister, Shao Liu, seemed to realize something and stared at me intently. Good you, Shao Che. You actually did something that disgraces the family outside. A person with such base character is not worthy of being my brother. The fiance, Yi Ling Song, bowed to Zhao's mother. Madam Xiao, Xian is right. Thousands of supreme-grade spiritual swords and 2 peerless holy swords are hard for even the royal family to produce. Xiao Che has been acting recklessly these past few years. If he is not punished, he will bring a disaster that will exterminate the Xiao family sooner or later. Zhao's mother recovered from her shock and seemed to make a decision. She looked at me with a gloomy face. Wicked Song, what kind of trouble have you caused outside these past few years? Now that you're home, you actually attacked your younger brother? How can such a vicious person be worthy of being a son of the Xiao family? Today, I will uphold righteousness and eliminate a family member, as expected of someone blind and deaf. No matter how much I explain, it's all superfluous. Hee, I gave your Xiao family a chance, but your Xiao family didn't know how to cherish it. The Xiao family rose from an insignificant family, supported by me alone. If they are exterminated today, it will be their own fault. My presumptuous tone enraged Zhao's mother. Wicked son, you brought this upon yourself. 9 Grand Guardians, listen to my order. Take down this rebellious son and dig out his immortal bones. The 9 Grand Guardians surrounded me at the first opportunity. These 9 nascent soul guardians were all raised using the massive resources I provided. Now they were being used against me. I haven't killed anyone in 3,000 years. At this moment, I was trembling with excitement. A powerful pressure, like a giant wave of an angry sea, surged out from me, rippling outward. At this moment, my aura soared, like a giant overlooking the world. The 9 Grand Guardians had barely made a move when they were choked by my invisible energy. One by one, they stood motionless, unable to breathe, their faces flushed red. The 9 Grand Guardians exploded one after another. Flesh and blood flew everywhere, like a scene from the Azura Hell. In just an instant, these guardians died a violent death, exploding into a cloud of blood mist. The whole place fell into dead silence. Everyone's faces were filled with disbelief. The Xiao family looked at me in horror, as if they had seen a ghost. Xiao Xian's face was filled with terror, and he shouted frantically, You are a transformation god stage expert? How is that possible? How could this be? Sure enough, you can't be too kind to people. Otherwise, you'll only let ants climb on top of your head and clamor. I smiled evilly. Hee, since you framed me for seriously injuring you, then I'll fulfill your wishes. No. I summoned another black magic sword, although it looked ordinary. This soul-devouring magic sword was my life-bound sword in my previous life. It was forged by me at the Deathwako Shengming Jinshi back then. After killing 7 demon kings, it took me 100 years to melt their magic cores, comparable to a fairy artifact. With a wave of my hand, I chopped off both of Xiao Xian's legs. Everything happened too fast. No one had reacted. My legs. Xiao Yan skrenid piercing. He collapsed in a pool of blood gurgling from his severed legs. His face was pale, his eyes full of fear and despair. Zhao's mother was frightened and hurriedly embraced the constantly screaming man. She sent a steady stream of spiritual energy to quickly stop his bleeding. Her eyes were red as she stared at me intently. Xiao Che, how dare you commit murder in front of me? This is simply rebellious. I picked my ears and couldn't help but laugh. If I really wanted to snatch his spiritual sword, how could I let this foundation establishment trash survive? Since he dared to slander me, he must be prepared to be abused and killed by me. As soon as these words came out, everyone fell silent. Now, they also began to doubt the truth of Xiao Xian's words. But the second sister, Xiao Liu, looked at Xian's miserable state. Her face was still full of anger. Guche, even so, putting aside the truth, you not only killed the Xiao family's 9 Grand Guardians with one move, but also crippled Xian's legs. You must give our Xiao family an explanation today. I looked at her like an idiot. Oh, so what? What kind of explanation do you want from me? She pointed at me, taking it for granted. You must hand over the immortal bone and all your swords, then cripple your legs as an apology. A cold smile played on my lips as I casually swung my sword again, severing Xiao Zian's arms. Xiao Zian screamed again, even more shrill than before. His arms were severed at the shoulders. Fresh blood spurted everywhere, staining Zhao's mother's clothes. His limbs were all but useless. His face was contorted with extreme pain. The despair in his eyes gradually turned into an ashen numbness. I raised an eyebrow and looked at Xiaolu. Now, then, what kind of explanation do you want from me? Second sister Xiaoluyu was stunned by this bloody scene. The anger on her face gradually turned into fear. Ah, damn it! How could I have given birth to such a beast? Zhao's mother held Xiao Zian, her eyes bloodshot as she looked at his miserable state. Fiance Yi Lingsong quickly stood in front of Xiao Zian, shouting anxiously. Xiao Che is already mad. Even if we join forces, it will be difficult to deal with him. He is so good to me. He wouldn't dare do anything to me. You protect Zian and quickly go to invite the Xiao family patriarch to emerge from seclusion. Hurry, holding the demon sword. I laugh like a god or demon descended to earth. Heh. You think you can escape? I swung my sword, unleashing a single strike. A black sword beam nearly 10 zhang long, like divine punishment descending, cut through the void and struck straight down. Boom! A giant tortoise shell managed to withstand it. The terrifying shockwave surged within the hall. The Xiao family hall collapsed with a roar. A sacred artifact, the Xuanwu shield. This shield was a gift I gave to Yi Lingsong years ago. I know that the original owner of this body deeply loved Yi Lingsong since childhood. Having taken his body, I felt a rare sense of guilt. So, I gave the Xuanwu shield to Yi Lingsong for self-defense. 5 years ago, the Yi family suffered a massacre. Only Yi Lingsong survived, thanks to the Xuanwu shield. To think that she would sacrifice the Xuanwu shield to protect Xiao Zian, stopping my advance. Although the hall collapsed, the few people protected by the Xuanwu shield were not affected by the impact. Eldest sister Xiao Luoxue looked at me coldly. Xiao Che, enough is enough. If you kneel down and admit your mistakes now, willing to accept punishment, I can still ask our father to give you a complete corpse. Zishuan was brought home by father, and he loves him the most. You also know that father has already broken through to the Tribulation Transcendence realm and is currently consolidating his cultivation. Once he emerges from seclusion, he will tear you to pieces. I smiled calmly. Is that so? Do you think the Xuanwu shield can stop me? Yi Lingsong had already discovered cracks on the Xuanwu shield and shouted anxiously. Hurry up and leave. The Xuanwu shield can't hold on anymore. Only then did the Xiao family members protect Xiao Zian and leave quickly. I wasn't in a hurry to chase after them. The person I want to kill will not escape. Before Yi Lingsong could breathe a sigh of relief, I swung my sword again. The same sword that shattered the void. Thunder roared, and violent power surged between heaven and earth. The Xuanwu shield shattered into pieces, completely collapsing. Heaven and earth shook, and huge cracks spread in all directions. The immense force threw Yi Lingsong away, and with a boom, she slammed into the ground. I held my sword against her throat. She wasn't afraid, staring fixedly at me. Xiao Che, you've gone too far. Zian is so kind and obedient, even if he unintentionally made a small mistake. Did you have to treat him like this? Xiao Che, you've changed. You've disappointed me so much. I smiled evilly and severed her legs with one sword. Ah! A shrill scream came from Yi Lingsong's mouth. She looked down at the legs I had severed, blood gushing out, staining the ruins beneath her. Yi Lingsong's pretty face was contorted by the pain. Her eyes were filled with fear and disbelief. Ah, Xiaoke, you actually dared to attack me. Her voice trembled constantly, and cold sweat flowed down her face. She thought that I would consider our past relationship and wouldn't do anything to her. But Yi Lingsong was wrong, very wrong. Why wouldn't I dare? I laughed softly, my tone full of mockery. Yi Ling Song, 5 years ago, the Wang family in the southern border attacked your Yi family, massacring your entire family. Later, the Wang family's entire family had their cultivation crippled, allowing you to personally avenge them. Do you know who crippled all their cultivation? Yi Ling Song trembled all over, her eyes widening in shock. It was you. My eyes were cold, without any emotion. That's right. It was me. I gave you the Xuanwu shield to protect you from death. I crippled the Wang family's cultivation, allowing you to avenge your grudges. Yi Ling Song, but how did you treat me? My words were like a dagger, piercing Yi Ling Song's heart. Indeed, she wanted to force me to kneel and dig out my mortal bone for the sake of someone she had known for less than 3 years. And now, she had fallen to such a state. An boundless feeling of regret and guilt instantly overwhelmed her. She trembled all over, tears streaming down her face. This time, it wasn't because of despair and fear, but because of regret and shame. I was wrong. I was really wrong. I'm sorry. I really didn't know it was you who crippled the Wang family and helped me get revenge, if I had known. Please, let me go. I really know I was wrong. Oh, really? Now you admit your mistake? It's too late. I cut off her head with one sword. Her soul was devoured by the soul-devouring demon sword. The soul was cut into pieces by the sword energy of the soul-devouring demon sword. But in the next instant, it will be forcibly pieced together by a strange power. Again and again, endlessly, Yi Ling Shuang's soul face twisted, constantly wailing. Her eyes were filled with pain and pleading. It hurts. Please, let me go. After Yi Ling Shuang died, I flashed and appeared at the back mountain. My second sister, Xiao Liu, blocked my path. I looked at her with cold eyes. Xiao Liu, do you remember who saved you 18 years ago? She was stunned, then gritted her teeth and said, What do you mean? I sneered. 18 years ago, you were invaded by demonic energy, and all your meridians were damaged, leaving you on the verge of death. The Xiao family searched for famous doctors throughout the Southern Territory, but none could cure you. In the end, who saved you? I still remember the scene when I possessed Xiao Che and returned to the Xiao family. At that time, the second young lady of the Xiao family, Xiao Liu, was invaded by demonic energy and was on the verge of death. The Xiao family searched all the famous doctors in the Southern Territory, but none could cure her. But I myself was a demonic cultivator, so demonic energy naturally couldn't cause any damage to me. I absorbed all the demonic energy from her body. That's how I pulled Xiao Liu back from the gates of hell. Xiao Liu's pupils shrank sharply, as if she had finally remembered something. But she quickly roared out in anger. So what? You saved me. Wasn't that your own choice? What's the point of you saying this now? I'm telling you, Xiao Che, I will never forgive you for what you did to Xian today. I smiled mockingly. Sure enough, sometimes good people don't get rewarded. It doesn't mean anything. I just want to tell you, Xiao Liu, your life was saved by me. So now, I'm going to take it back. As soon as the words fell, the soul-devouring demon sword was suddenly unsheathed. Xiao Liu's face changed drastically, and she hurriedly raised her sword to block. Clang! Her sword instantly broke, and her right arm was chopped off at the shoulder by me. A miserable scream echoed in the mountainside of the back mountain. Xiao Liu staggered backward, blood gushing from her shoulder. She looked at her empty right shoulder in disbelief. Waves of pain swept over her, gradually engulfing her consciousness. How dare you? I'm your sister. She clenched her teeth tightly. Her small face twisted. She desperately covered the wound with her left hand. I held the soul-devouring demon sword. The sword hummed with excitement from the bloodshed. Sister, scenes from 18 years ago flashed before my eyes. That girl who was surrounded by demonic energy, lying on the bed, on the verge of death. The Xiao family was helpless. At that time, my strength had not yet recovered, and my realm was low. I didn't close my eyes for 7 days and 7 nights, and finally absorbed all the demonic energy from her body. When she woke up at that time, she held my hand tightly. Her voice choked with emotion. Ake, thank you. You saved sister. Sister will be good to you for the rest of her life. Only good to you, and will never let you suffer any grievances. At that time, the gratitude in her eyes was as bright as stars. But now, there is only fear and resentment in those eyes. I attacked again. Xiao Luiyu's left arm was chopped off at the shoulder. Blood spurted out, staining her white dress red. It also stained the bluestone slabs under her feet red. She screamed like a pig again, rolling frantically on the ground. Xiao Luiyu was finally afraid. She squirmed to my feet, and fear flooded her like a tide. Why? Ake, I'm your sister. You saved me. How could you do this to me? Save you? I looked down at her coldly. But you have also proven to me that some people are ungrateful and don't deserve to be saved from birth, right? You made me kneel down and apologize for Xiao Ziyan, forced me to dig out my immortal bone, and forgot who brought you back from the brink of death. I slowly raised the demon sword, the tip of the sword aimed at her dantian. Xiao Luoyu, since you like digging out immortal bones so much, then you should experience it yourself. No. Don't. She shook her head violently, her eyes full of fear. Sister was wrong. Brother Ake, sister was really wrong. Sister is sorry for you. Please let sister go. The soul-devouring demon sword plunged down. The immortal bone was forcibly peeled out by me. The pain of forcibly stripping the bone was far greater than cutting off both arms. Her eyes widened, and her eyeballs seemed to be popping out of their sockets. There was a big hole in Xiao Liu's dantian, and blood kept gushing out. Like a tattered doll. Big sister Xiao Luoxue didn't know when she had already stood on the top of the peak. Her white clothes were like snow, as if she would ascend to immortality at any time. But her eyes were indescribably cold. Xiao, Ke, how dare you torture and kill your second sister? You have already become a demon. Today I will uphold justice on behalf of heaven. I looked at her mockingly. Oh, really? The supreme emotionless cultivation technique you practice is originally a demonic art. I admit I am a demonic cultivator, but aren't you? I stood in front of her and beheaded Xiao Luoyu with one sword. Her soul was also devoured by the soul-devouring demon sword. Sword energy cut her soul into countless pieces. It was then forcibly pieced together by a mysterious force. Again and again, Yiling Shuang's soul body continued to roar and wail. It hurts. Ache. Sister regrets it. Sister was wrong. Please spare sister. Courting death. Two cold electric beams shot out from Xiao Luoxue's eyes. The long sword was unsheathed, and streams of bright sword energy suddenly pierced down from the top of the peak. Boom, boom, boom. With a sword energy passed, rocks pierced the sky, and the earth shook. My figure was so fast that it turned into afterimages, and she couldn't even touch the hem of my clothes. I sneered. Xiao Lakshu, you and I are of the same kind. Why feign such a virtuous facade? I taught you the supreme forgetfulness. What makes you think you can be my opponent? Xiao Lakshu, do you know why your cultivation hasn't progressed in 3 whole years? Because you are moved by emotion. Heh. How laughable. You actually fell for your adopted brother. Xiao Lakshu's expression abruptly changed. The layer of cold pretense was torn away by me. Her eyes were filled with shock and fury. Shut up. I want you dead. A 5-zhong long sword aura, brilliant as a rainbow, pierced through space and arrived before me in an instant. With a casual wave, I dispersed her full force strike into nothingness. Xiao Lakshu's pupils contracted sharply. Her face was full of terror. How is this possible? You're not at the Transformation God realm. What realm are you in? My figure vanished from its original spot in an instant. When I reappeared, I was already tightly gripping her neck. Xiao Lakshu, you can't even uphold your own way of emotionlessness, yet you dare to shamelessly speak of acting on behalf of heaven. For his sake, you wanted to seize my heavenly Tao immortal bone to aid his cultivation. What true and steadfast love! I increased the force on her neck. watching the light in her eyes gradually extinguish. Her struggles slowly weakened. Traces of blood trickled from the corners of her mouth. Xiao Qi. Her eyes were filled with resentment. You harm your own kin, you'll come to no good end. If I had known, I wouldn't have let people throw you into the myriad demon mountain. I should have strangled you to death back then. I didn't expect you to have such a long life that you actually managed to come back. Why were you born with heavenly Tao immortal bones, while I only have ordinary immortal bones? I begged Mother to exchange her heavenly Tao immortal bones for mine, but she not only refused, but beat me half to death. I thought she loved you so much. I merely colluded with Xian to falsely accuse you, yet she agreed to exchange her immortal bones for Xian's. When I possessed the original owner's body, I learned from his memories. He was indeed kidnapped and thrown into the myriad demon mountain. But when I relied on my memories to find those people, I found they were all dead. I didn't expect that Xiao Lakshu was actually the mastermind behind it. I originally wanted to give her a swift death. Hearing her venomous words, I fell silent. I carved 108 sword wounds on her body, watching her life slowly drain away. Fresh blood trickled down the sword wounds. Her limbs were pinned to the mountain peak by sword energy, unable to move. At first, she could still curse incessantly, but later she was only left with rapid gasps. She writhed in agony. Finally, in extreme pain, she bled to death, dying with eyes wide open in resentment. Her soul suffered torments 100 or 1,000 times worse than her physical body within the soul-devouring demon sword. Xiao Qi. You'll come to know. Good end. It hurts so much. Chase, sister was wrong. Stop. Stop it now. At this moment, the sound of an array being bombarded came from the main peak of the back mountain. I knew that Xiao Mother was forcibly awakening the family head from seclusion. Each time the Xiao family head went into seclusion, he would set up an array outside to prevent disturbances. My figure vanished in an instant. When I reappeared, I was already in front of the secluded cave. Xiao Xian looked like he had seen a ghost when he saw me, screaming and shouting. Don't come over here. Xiao Mother also became agitated. Xiao Che, you are now in front of your father's secluded cave. If you still dare to harm Xian, your father will never forgive you. As she spoke, she continued to retreat backward, as if I were a monstrous flood. I curled my lips, raising a mocking smile. Oh, really? Then that's just right. Before he comes out of seclusion, guess whether I'll let you go. I reached out from afar and forcibly dug out her immortal bone. Unfilial son, you're insane. The excruciating pain of the immortal bone leaving her body made Xiao Mother curl up on the ground. Her hands tightly covered the bloody hole in her dantian. Fresh blood continued to gush out from between her fingers. She raised her head, her bloodshot eyes staring fixedly at me. You beast! I'm your mother. Infidèle. When I gave birth to you, I should have strangled you to death. Looking at the Xiao Mother with her distorted face, I suddenly felt a wave of sorrow for the original owner. Fortunately, I possessed his body. Otherwise, he would have been eaten by the Xiao family until nothing was left. Mother, I threw the bloody, immortal bone aside like trash at my feet. When you agreed to dig out my immortal bones for an adopted son, why didn't you think you were my mother? I stepped toward her step by step. Xiao Mother, one can't be so two-faced. Don't you think it's laughable that you're talking to me about maternal affection now? Xiao Xian hid behind Xiao Mother, trembling incessantly. He screamed in terror. You're a demon. Don't come over here. Get away from me. Father will come out of seclusion soon. He's a tribulation transcendence stage expert. He will definitely tear you into pieces. Oh, really? I was about to strike, pulling him out from behind Xiao Mother. At this moment, an unexpected event suddenly occurred. The sky suddenly became covered in dark clouds, thunder rumbled, and thousands of bolts of lightning danced like silver snakes. A violent aura reverberated throughout the entire world. All the cultivators in the entire southern territory looked up at the sky in alarm. Heavens, Could it be that a Tribulation Transcendent stage expert has been born in the Southern Territory? Looking at the direction, it's the Shao family. It's rumored that the Shao family head, Shao Zhan, broke through to the Tribulation Transcendent stage and is in seclusion to stabilize his realm. Could all of this be true? Originally, there were only 2 Tribulation Transcendent stage experts in the entire Southern Territory. One from the Yi family and one from the Wang family. Unfortunately, these 2 great families of the Southern Territory were exterminated one after another 5 years ago, and Shao Zhan of the Shao family, relying on his strength at the half-step Tribulation Transcendent stage, leapt to become the strongest person in the Southern Territory. The Shao family also became the #1 family in the Southern Territory. It really is the Shao family. Has the Shao family head finally overcome that hurdle and become a true Tribulation Transcendence Realm Supreme expert? We should go and see at once. We ought to pay our respects. At this moment, countless powerful individuals were rushing towards the Shao family. Although the Southern Territory was vast, it could be reached quickly for these cultivators who could fly through the air. When a main hall of the Shao family collapsed just now, it had already attracted many cultivators to come and investigate. Having heard the conversation between me and the Shao family members, they could guess roughly what had happened. Shao Zhan was wearing a long black robe. His eyes were like torches as he glared at me, his eyes filled with undisguised, murderous intent. Xian's limbs were severed by you. Yes. You also dug out your mother's immortal bone. Yes. The gloom in his eyes deepened, and his murderous intent was almost tangible. You unfilial son, what a cruel heart you have. Even if Xian wanted your immortal bone, you wouldn't have died even if you gave it to him. Why are you so obsessed? This Shao Zhan really knew. His words shocked not only me. Even the cultivators watching from the periphery were stunned speechless. Everyone knew that the Shao family had taken a foster son 3 years ago. Who would have thought that the Shao family would do something like digging out their own son's immortal bone to give to the foster son? I stared at him coldly. What? I was asking this on behalf of the original owner of this body. Although I am a demonic cultivator, I couldn't do something so inconceivable. The cultivators on the periphery were in an uproar. They were whispering to each other, gossiping in hushed tones. The gazes they cast on Shao Zhan couldn't help but contain a hint of contempt. Who would have thought that the Shao family head would do such a thing? Digging out his own son's immortal bone to give to a foster son. What kind of bewitching potion did that foster son give the Shao family? Impudence. He was furious and shouted angrily. The pressure of the Tribulation Transcendence realm swept out like a raging sea. The heavenly lightning became even more violent, and the rumbling sounds were endless. The cultivators on the periphery were all shaken, their blood roiling, and they retreated dozens of feet. The strength of the Tribulation Transcendence realm was terrifying indeed. Why? Because I am your father. Your life was given to you by me. I told you to give it to Xian, so you had to give it to him. Instead of being angry, I laughed. Shao Zhan, the reason the Shao family can become the overlord of the Southern Territory, the reason you were able to break through to the Tribulation Transcendence realm, is all because of the countless spirit stones and pills I brought back over the years. Yet you repay kindness with hatred, and you still want my immortal bone. Shao Zhan stared at me intently. Shao Che, I gave birth to you and raised you. Is it not right for you to repay the Shao family? You should be grateful that you didn't kill Xian. His severed arm can be repaired with top-grade pills. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been as simple as digging out your immortal bone. Will you do it yourself? Or do I have to do it myself? I looked at him as if he were an idiot. Shao Zhan, with your cultivation, you dare to be presumptuous in front of me, overestimating yourself. During these 3 years of traveling the world, I discovered that all the old monsters I knew 3,000 years ago were dead. Each generation is truly worse than the last. Who would have thought that 3,000 years later, even the early stage of Tribulation Transcendence could become a supreme expert? Shao Zhan was furious when he saw my contemptuous attitude. He held the wild dragon great saber and slashed down at me with all his might. 100-foot saber aura was like a dragon, cutting through the void, like 10,000 mountains falling on top of my head. I casually swung my sword, effortlessly, but it crushed the giant dragon saber aura into powder, scattered like starlight in the sky. Is that all you've got? I couldn't help but sneer. Everyone was stunned. Everyone could feel how terrifying the power contained in that 100-foot saber aura was, believing that even a mountain could be easily split open. They couldn't believe that it was dissipated into nothingness by my casual sword strike. The hand that Xiao Zhan was holding the wild dragon great saber trembled violently. He stared at me in disbelief, as if he was seeing me for the first time. How is this possible? He roared in a lost voice, unable to accept this result at all. How could your cultivation be so strong? I don't believe it. Heavenly lightning descent. His eyes became extremely frenzied, and he raised his saber to the sky. Although Xiao Zhan was in the early stage of the Tribulation Transcendence realm, he had also preliminarily mastered the ability to invoke heavenly tribulation lightning. Rumble. The clouds in the sky became even denser, and 10,000 heavenly tribulations took shape. Each bolt of lightning rolled in the sea of clouds like an angry dragon. Xiao Che, aren't you very strong? I'll see if you can withstand this heavenly tribulation lightning. Xiao Zhan's face was ferocious, and his eyes became even more frenzied. When the cultivators on the periphery saw this, they retreated again and again. Their faces were full of fear. The power of heavenly tribulation lightning was not a joke. Even a slight touch could lead to the destruction of the soul. I chuckled lightly, not taking the 10,000 heavenly tribulations seriously at all. Back then, during the critical moment of my ascension, I was besieged by hundreds of experts, and the heavenly tribulation that descended was hundreds or thousands of times stronger than this. Descend. Xiao Zhan roared violently and slashed down fiercely with the raised wild dragon great saber. In an instant, 10,000 heavenly tribulations with a world-destroying aura frantically slashed down at me. What made everyone feel unbelievable was not only did I not dodge, but I rose into the air and flew towards the heavenly tribulation. 10,000 heavenly tribulations all struck my body, but I was unscathed. Everyone looked at me as if they had seen a ghost. At this moment, I seemed to feel the aura of the great Tao. The rhymes of heaven and earth merged with me. The feeling of ascension from 3,000 years ago returned. I laughed heartily. Xiao Zhan, today I will let you see what true strength is. As soon as the words fell, I slashed out with my sword. Sword chi traversed 90,000 miles. The sky, which was just now covered in dark clouds and a sea of thunder, disappeared in an instant. Golden light was dazzling, and 10,000 rays of light shone. The gates of heaven opened wide. Everyone was dumbfounded. Then they all couldn't help but kneel down. Heavens, is this the legendary one sword opens the heavenly gate? An immortal, the young master of the Xiao family, has actually reached the immortal realm? How is this possible? It's been 5,000 years in the mortal realm, and no one has ascended. According to historical records, 3,000 years ago, a demonic cultivator almost ascended. At the critical moment, he was jointly attacked by righteous path powerhouses and ultimately sealed under 10,000 Demon Mountain. To think that 3,000 years later, I would personally witness the birth of an immortal. To witness the birth of an immortal today is enough for this lifetime. Today is destined to be recorded in history. I will pass the scene down. I, their ancestor, personally witnessed the ascension of an immortal. These cultivators were all tearfully excited, gesticulating wildly. They kept kowtowing towards me. Xiao father and Xiao mother were dumbfounded. Xiao Zian's mind was a complete blank. Even the soul body within the soul, devouring demonic sword, stopped wailing. It simply couldn't accept everything before its eyes. Xiao Che is actually in the immortal realm. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Xiao Zhan muttered to himself, as if his soul had left his body. The wild dragon saber in his hand fell to the ground with a clang. I looked at his dazed appearance, a cold glint flashing in my eyes. Xiao Zhan, the game is over. I disappeared into midair and reappeared in front of him. With a wave of my hand, I forcibly extracted his memories and projected them. Xiao Mother spat out large mouthfuls of blood when she saw the scenes in the projection. It turned out that Xiao Zian was not an adopted son at all, but Xiao Zhan's illegitimate son with his childhood sweetheart. The memories showed that Xiao Zhan and Xiao Mother were in a family marriage, but he had never loved Xiao Mother. The one he always deeply loved was his childhood sweetheart. It wasn't until his childhood sweetheart passed away 3 years ago that he brought the illegitimate son Xiao Zian home. And he lied to Xiao Mother, saying that Xiao Zian was a child of destiny who could lead the entire Xiao family to ascend to the immortal realm in the future. In addition, Xiao Zian was eloquent and knew how to please people. In this way, Xiao Zian gained the favor of the entire Xiao family. So even knowing that Xiao Zian slandered me, the entire Xiao family still stood by his side, wanted me to dig out the heavenly Tao immortal bone for him, all for the sake of Xiao Zian being able to become an immortal as soon as possible to achieve the entire Xiao family. Within the soul-devouring demonic sword, after the 2 elder sisters learned the truth, their soul bodies roared and cursed frantically at Xiao Zhan and Xie Zian. Xiao Mother learned that all of this was a deception. Her intestines were completely regretful. She crawled towards me crying, "Ake! My Ake!" She crawled directly to my feet, tightly grabbing the hem of my robe. Her knuckles turned blue from excessive force. It was Mother who was blind. Mother was blinded by lard. I actually helped that bitch's child, harming my own biological son. What sins have I committed? I'm not human. I was wrong. I was really wrong. At this time, the memory projection happened to play the scene of Xiao Mother nodding and agreeing to dig out my immortal bone. She looked at her cold and ruthless expression at the time in the picture. In that sentence, "If I had known, I should have strangled you to death when I gave birth to you." She suddenly let out an extremely shrill scream. She looked at me with tearful eyes. There was regret, pain, and a trace of remaining hope. "Ake, Mother really knows she was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I were the real Xiao Che, I would have died countless times already. Since you want to repent, then come to my soul-devouring demonic sword and repent for generations to come." I swung 3 swords in a row. 3 more soul bodies were added to the soul-devouring demonic sword. These souls were cut into pieces by the sword chi, then quickly pieced together again, then cut into pieces again. This pain was 100 times, 1,000 times stronger than the physical body, repeatedly without end. Their wails echoed continuously within the sword. The soul bodies of Xiao Father and Xiao Mother were frantically tearing at each other within the sword. "Xiao Zhan, it's all your fault. You bastard. You'll die a horrible death. If it weren't for you and this illegitimate son, how could our Xiao family have fallen to such a state?" Then the Xiao family sisters and Yi Ling's song also joined the battle, tearing at the souls of Xiao Zhan and Xiao Zian together. The Xiao family's ending caused countless cultivators present to sigh, having an immortal realm biological son and not cherishing him, favoring that illegitimate son instead. The Xiao family was blind and foolish. They deserved it. I finally leaped into the heavenly gate. Amidst 10,000 rays of light, the heavenly gate slowly closed, as if it had never appeared, and I ushered in a new beginning.